Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning. It's a bonus day.
So how is Tucson?
Warmer than Ohio?
Mm-hmm.
That's for sure.
It's going to be 64 today.
Nice. It's not going to get over 20 today.
I know. The day I left, I think on my way to the airport, my sister's car was telling me it was 16 degrees. I'm like, yes, I get to leave the sun.
And you got out before the storm hit, Sandy.
Was there a storm yesterday?
Yeah, Texas is totally shut down. No airfare.
Oh, then yeah, I managed to get in before they got any weather.
Oh, okay. That's good.
It was a smooth ride too.
Nice. Mine was a little bumpy because I was flying out last Wednesday when that weather was coming in. So the plane was doing this a few times, but I'm like, I don't care. We're out. But I knew half the plane. Like one of my employees' mom and grandma was on that flight. I know the curator of the Witchcraft Museum. He was on that flight. I'm like, I know half the plane. But
wow.
And we were all vacating the Ohio weather.
So. Good for you. Good for you. It's been pretty cruddy.
Yeah, it's hard to get back on the plane to come back. I mean, I've got 8 days to figure out if I'm really going to get on that plane and come back.
Well, wait until after tomorrow because tomorrow's Groundhog's Day. Let's see if he sees the shadow or not. If he stays the shadow, stay there for 6 more weeks.
That rodent, I never trust him.
Is he bribable? I mean,
I don't know. Let's go. I don't have. Who's in the Philly area? Go bribe or no? Punxsutawney.
Yeah, Punxsutawney.
Yeah.
Hello, everybody. Let's catch up on the hellos because we didn't even think to tell everybody like you'll have double.
Yeah, double trouble this morning.
This is good.
So, and Debbie is going to bring up a really good point. This morning's podcast, Brooke actually texted me a little after 9 your guys' time, 7 my time here, that from 23:18 to 24:30, the audio went bad somehow between uploading, So anyway, was doing some emergency edits and uploads. So the current episode is good and fine. I had to take like that whole minute and a half out and a little bit of other, but if you haven't listened to yet, it's been fixed. So thank you, Brooke, for pointing that out. And I'm like, there's not enough coffee for emergency editing.
And it's not Mercury retrograde.
Right, not Mercury retrograde at all.
But when did we do the podcast?
Oh, well, now you're really.
So let's not push it.
When did it end and when did I upload it?
Mary Ann will be right on this one, so be careful.
Robin, PA, are you close enough to go bribe that groundhog road?
If not, we need a road trip from you, please.
It sure is Wednesday.
Hello, everybody. If you are new, feel free to ask questions about earthbound spirits, negative energy. It's below 0. Ooh, you.
I'm sorry, Renee.
Ew, that's gross.
That's Minnesota. They expect that in Minnesota.
That's true. I have a friend now also who's in Minnesota. I can't remember which part. But yeah, that she's like, oh, we've got, X amount of snow on the ground. It's going to be -2, and that's before the wind chill. Thanks, Laura. I did make it safely. Yeah.
I have not been kidnapped yet.
By aliens or by me?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
If the aliens will keep me in Tucson, I gladly, here I am, come get me.
Hey, thanks for signing up for Twitch. I know.
Yeah. Thank you, Karen. When we do our next podcast, recording, which we'll have to cram one in here soon. There's one for next week, and then after that, our bank has runneth dry, Marianne. We'll have to.
Well, as soon as you get back in, we'll do something that weekend or Monday.
Sounds good. Best YouTube day of the week. Thank you. And again, thank you on the podcast, emergency editing. So if you listen to that part, it's been fixed. So thank you.
I missed her too.
Hank.
That's why I'm here.
Even my kid called me.
Yes,
I was
that
texting
is
with
amazing.
him, and next thing I know, I'm like, "Hey, what are you doing?" He's like, "Calling you," and I'm like, "Are you okay? Everything good at the apartment? Like, no cops or anything? No parties?" And he's like, "Nah, I just kind of missed you a little bit." And I'm like, "Oh." He admitted it.
They're growing up when they finally admit they miss their mom.
Work is going good for him?
Yeah, he's enjoying it. Well, I don't know if I'd say enjoying, but to the point where he's like, I'm going to pick up extra hours. I'm going to this and that. All of the other nursing staff around him swear they're going to talk him into becoming an LPN. And I'm like, I don't know about that. This kid wanted to be a meteorologist engineer. That's a big shift, but
anything's possible.
True. I will leave it open. I'm not going to talk him out of it, but hey, babe.
Well, until he tries it, he might find that this is his calling. You don't know.
Right. And he does like helping people, his friends. It just takes him a while to warm up and open up. But that hospital that he's working in, I know for a fact, there's a lot of activity that happens there. One of my employees is patient advocate, and she's told me stories, and I'm like, we've got to get Marianne in there and just record something, but getting the permission for it.
Hospitals are tricky.
If I'm ever in that hospital, I'll have you guys come
visit Sandy and
yeah.
But one of his first days, because he's doing an overnight shift, and she works for me sometimes, in the evening, her schedule permitting. And she's like, you have got to get the seat on that boy. He is too open. That hospital's got too much shit going on. And so I'm like, hey,
where are all his charms at?
And I said, where's your necklace? And he's like, oh, it's on my desk somewhere. And so in his mind, because he was no longer at OSU, he didn't need it. And I'm like, put it on.
Yeah, you might need it a little more.
Yeah, probably more than at the college, my boy. So I'm like, this is now part of your scrub uniform is wearing that. And he's like, okay. But
wow.
Yeah, it's going okay for him, going well. Thank you, Jackie. Listen to the podcast. It was awesome. I shop at the store.
I knew somebody would figure out what store that was.
Right.
And even though I did not say it, and I won't, but it's pretty obvious.
Heather asks, do earthbound spirits appear to you as solid and real as a living, or do they look transparent to you? How do you distinguish them from the living?
If they were standing in front of a chair and I squinted a little bit, I could see through them and see the chair. So they're not solid, but I do see them in color, the color of their clothes, their hair, their eyes, everything. So yeah, I can tell just from not being as thick as we are.
Let's see. Swifty says, my friend Leland left a voicemail regarding the kid ghost in his house that you saw on Zoom last month. Have you heard it yet? We were successful in kicking him out.
Zoom
My
again.
Phones here are still not working. 3 weeks tomorrow. We are working with AT&T to fix the matter. So the phone number is 440-525-5049. You can leave a message. However, you don't hear my beginning. It just says leave a message. And it said it once for 2 hours, and then they threw it out. And we did it again, and it was good for about 45 minutes, and then they threw it out. I don't know.
We will go rampage to AT&T offices on behalf of Marianne.
Marianne's going to have an advocate for her if they don't get it fixed. So
We're going to set Sandy upon them,
mhm.
and I'm going to sit back and eat popcorn and
And
enjoy
she's going to
the
watch
show.
the show.
Get them.
I want to see blood at this point.
Ooh,
No, I
wow!
don't.
All right,
But
I
I
can do that.
mean, that could change the weather.
and they're not giving me a break on the bill. I'm still paying for full price, even though I don't
Oh,
have
I'll get
service.
I'll
You know
get
how
you some.
that works.
Nah,
Yeah.
you'll get money back. Sandy will take care of it. Let's see. Melanie asks, what stone would be best for anxiety? My level is back on high.
When you figure that out, let me know too.
We're gonna send
Lepidolite?
4 to Marianne right now too.
And I don't carry stones, but I might
You
start.
might need to. Stick them in the bra, Marianne. I mean,
Yeah.
some lepidolite,
That's a little missing there, so you got to be careful. Maybe my sock.
You don't want to walk funny.
Right.
Yeah,
And if all else comes, somebody won't take note. You just pull it out and whip it at them. It's like an
you throw
arsenal.
it right here.
Yeah, aim
Right,
well.
right there. Right.
I mean, all stones are good for protection if you throw hard enough and you have a good aim. So
There's that.
chuck them. But lepidolite and angelite tend to work really well. Lepidolite actually has lithium in it. It's what makes it purple. And angelite just has a really good calming, soothing energy to it.
Mm-hmm.
I find for a lot of our service members with the high anxiety from their PTSD, the angelite works a little better than lepidolite. So it's weird, but it kind of depends on the anxiety. But those two tend to be the best. I know a lot of people like to default for amethyst for everything. No, quit using amethyst for everything. Just like I'm like, quit using Saint Michael for everything. Like he's got a job and there's all these other archangels that have jobs that do that better because they're specified. Quit using Archangel Michael for everything.
And remember, I've said it before about amethyst. Kids are drawn to the purple. They love amethyst. You have amethyst sitting in their bedroom at night when they're sleeping. These kids are not sleeping good. It makes them super active. Amethyst is a stone that should never be used in rock bra for kids.
Built in crime deterrent.
Yeah.
Really fun comments going on here. Well, Marianne, I think you've gotten to meet our Hawaiian grandma, little older lady from Hawaii. She
Right.
calls her bra the gravel pit because she keeps all of hers in there, and so it's her gravel pit. And so she's like, honey, this is going to go in the gravel pit.
Well, and it's funny because when I do carry stones in my bra, you forget they're in there until I go to take my bra off, and then you hear just rocks hitting the hardwood floor, clunk, 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 clunk,
How
clunk.
many little dents do you have in your floor?
I don't have dents yet because I'm not carrying that big of stones. But I'm always panicked because then I'm like, oh, it went under the bed. I got to find it before the dogs do.
Before they decide to mouth them up, and
Yeah.
now you're looking out in the front yard for them. Do you want your stone back that bad that you would go dig it out of the front yard pile?
I'm trying not to get it to that point
Figure it
ever.
out. Brooke says when she bought her house, she had to ditch the landline just because of issues like that. And Karen's like, I beg my girls to wear the charms. They're probably in their closet underneath a big pile of clothes.
I can relate to that.
Here's the thing, Karen, if the house is seated and protected, then at least if something, tags on one of the kids, it won't be able to get in the house. So, but it would be better if they carried theirs too.
Let's see. Mr. Miyagi says LPN is recession proof. Don't knock it. I mean, he might decide to do it. I will support him in any way he wants to go, but I did ask him. This is a young person that gets really bad migraines to the point of vomiting and blurred vision over stress and anxiety type stuff. And so my thought was like he was having trouble in college because the idea of having to leave his dorm to go to English class where there were real people sitting there was like too much. To now you're an STNA, you are wiping butt. Like that is so in person. So after a couple of weeks, I'm like, okay, buddy, which is worse?
But
English?
the difference
or wiping butt? And he goes, English.
But I was going to say the difference is, while you may see the same patients a few different days in the hospital, they're going to be gone. You're going to get new people. And so I feel like the anxiety for him will change simply because the faces continue to change. He's not up against the same people every day in a classroom.
Well, see, for him though, once he gets comfortable, he knows the person he's comfortable, right? So it's easier. So the constant change.
It'll be good because
But
then
when
he'll just maintain that level.
So when I asked him, I said, why? Why is wiping butt preferable to English? And he goes, I know how to English and I know how to write papers. He goes, I shouldn't have to do it for a class. And I'm like,
Okay.
okay, well, you would have had to written maybe 2 or 3 papers in a course of 6 to 8 weeks, and then you never have to do it again. Where you're at now, this is something that's going to happen every day. And he's like, yeah. And I'm like, okay, you do you, buddy. Like, enjoy that, and I will support you in what you need to do. But sometimes our random kitchen conversations, because every morning he works the overnight shift, we have story time, and he tells me everything that happens overnight and what he's experienced. And I'm like, I should be recording these because some of them are pretty funny. The world of Rune.
Well, it's like Ted. When he was ready to start kindergarten, my mother-in-law told me that she said, are you ready to go to school? You're going to go to kindergarten and you're going to get really smart. And he's 5 years old. And he said to her, I'm already smart. I don't need school.
I love it.
That attitude stayed with him all through all 12 grades. Let me tell you.
And when he would do English, any of his work, he could whip out like a paper in 15 minutes and it'd be an A, but his whole point was like, I shouldn't have to do this. And I'm like, but sometimes you got to play by the rules, buddy. And then you never have to do it again. So he's going to figure it out. I will support him either way. If he wants to go the way of healthcare, go for it. He does like helping people when he's comfortable with them. Because the question was, does he like helping people? He does. He's just got to get comfortable in what he's doing.
He'll be all right, or else you'll tap up.
Okay. Yeah. When a person is when an adult is standing up, even the door is 8 foot. They're not 8 foot tall. 5 to 6 foot tall. They're still covered by the seat. What won't cover it is if an animal wanted to get in, like a cat or a dog or something like that, or a small child. If you don't have young kids in your house, I wouldn't worry about it. But yeah, that can be an issue at times, but it's just not, it doesn't happen enough.
Well, that's why I joke, I will crawl under to get in to my own store. I'm like, I'll
crawling in.
Duck. I can belly crawl in. Let's see. I think there was
the Commando Crawl Joan
right,
ghost.
Right.
That's Melissa.
Let's see. There it is. Mr. Miyagi says, diving right in. The other night we had a behavioral code on the psych unit. We were all having adrenaline, and then the lights started turning off and on. Ghost or our energy?
Oh, I'm sure that was a ghost, if not more than one. The more energy that the living are putting out, the more active the ghosts are going to be. So, yep, I'm sure that's what it was. You should see them when they call a code at the hospital. I think ghosts come from every floor to see who's dying. Seriously.
Who's joining the ranks?
Yeah. Oh, that's not the way I did it. I went this way. It's like, oh my God.
So I just think of the TV show Ghosts. Have you watched that?
Seen it.
Oh, it's so funny. So they're all earthbound, and they're all from different time periods, and they are all within a house. Now, they break a lot of your rules. They do gather together and talk.
And the hippie loves the sage.
Yes, and the hippie loves sage because she loved it in life, so it doesn't bother her.
She follows the earth or the real person around. She's like, I love it.
But what they call when they go into the light, they called it being sucked off. They've been sucked off
What is
because
it
all of a sudden they just sucked off. They just suck off into
Clip it, Brooke.
the other into their light. And sometimes they go through. Sometimes I think I saw a preview for one, and it looks like he went into the toaster, but I could be wrong. It was just a quick view. Ghosts break all the rules. They do, but it is a fun show. You'll have to watch it.
In all honesty, if I watched it, I probably wouldn't criticize it as much as I criticize Ghost Hunter ones, because
right. This is meant to be a sitcom, right?
You got to be kidding me. Why are you even doing that? So yeah, it's just easier not to watch any of them because it just aggravates me. So
yeah, Ghost is a fun show.
New friend here, Freddie, says, I just found your channel. Glad to see I'm not the only one. Are ghosts hostile and can they be friendly?
Earthbound ghosts have the same personality they had when they were alive. If they were ornery and mean and ugly acting and everything, that's the same way they're going to be when they're dead. They can be friendly, but it doesn't do any good because anytime they're around you, it affects your energy. So even if they want to be friendly, they're not, even though they're not doing it intentionally. So you want spirits that have crossed over to be around you, not earthbound ones.
I was just checking our lists. So we actually have the episode coming out next Wednesday is going to be a story about a helpful type of ghost that actually kind of keeps a family healthy.
Which is a little unusual, but there are some. I've already had a couple that have made themselves known to a mother if the baby is like upstairs, an infant is upstairs in the crib, and they got caught between the bumper pad and the rail on which of course they don't even let bumper pads in cribs anymore. But a blanket over the face or something like that. So yeah, on occasion that happens. I had, which was not good, I had a ghost tell a good friend that was on a plane that she better buckle in because the plane's going down. And and it's like, are you kidding me? But she just acted like that so these people would get all worried and put up more energy. They lie. I mean, they lied when they were alive. They're going to lie when they're dead.
I wonder if they lie more simply because they need the energy.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's funny. I said to my friend when she told me that, I says, oh my God, were you nervous? She said, no, I had my St. Joseph medal on me. If you have a St. Joseph medal on you, you will never die in a plane accident, ever. The whole plane could go down, but you won't die if you have a St. Joseph medal.
Now, how many limbs are you walking away with?
Pardon me?
All of them.
How many limbs are you walking away with, and how?
You don't die though, and you're never going to die in war either. So if anybody has friends or relatives or kids or cousins or brothers or somebody fighting over wherever they're fighting now in the world, they should really have a St. Joseph medal on them because at least they won't be killed in war. They'll never die in a fire. They'll never drown. Read the back of a St. Joseph holy card. It's amazing what you read.
He's all about the home, selling the home, bringing people home, protecting the family in the home. So
that's right. And he was the protector. So that's why he does all that.
So Renee says, I put a dream bag and an amethyst under my pillow to sleep better and remember dreams. Should I switch lepidolite or angelite for the amethyst?
Not if it's working, right?
If you're finding that you're not sleeping as well, it's having a harder time falling asleep, I would. Howlite is good for sleep and restful sleep.
It calms the mind, right?
So I probably would myself. I wouldn't use amethyst for sleeping or rest, really. I mean, everybody is different. Tylenol for me, Advil for you, but generally you still wouldn't use Advil, for neuropathy, right? Like there's still set rules that happen. Let's see. A lot of people like the show Ghost and are saying how funny it is. You probably would just get a laugh, Miriam, but you would have to suspend all of the rules and not get frustrated, but it's funny.
Well, I used to get so frustrated watching Ghost Whisperer because they never let her make the white light. They just disappeared and they just went away. And it's like, no, you're not doing it right. But again, it's entertainment.
Oh, right. So Jackie asks, what happens when a pet dog is put down by a vet? Will they see the light and cross over to the Rainbow Bridge?
They will. And sometimes they'll come home with you first and are not angry at you for doing that. Believe me, if your pet was that good of a pet, don't make them suffer.
Mhm.
Let them go. And I mean, they are not angry. I mean, you can beat a dog and it'll still lick your hand. So believe me, doing what you have to do, it's very hard, but it's not hurting them and they will cross over on. And you will see them in a dream too.
Guys are hitting me in the feels with the dogs because, we've had to put down a few.
So Hank is asking if there are any other saints we should carry around.
Well, I don't know well enough about St. Christopher in the car. I don't have enough knowledge about that. St. Joseph, I definitely know about. I think any of the holy cards that you go into a religious store and read the back really tells you a lot. And if you could find a medal with a piece of their cloth on it, it even makes it stronger. I mean, the metal is fine, is better than nothing. But if you can find, again, a medal that has a little dot on the back of it, which means it's a piece of cloth from something that they wore. You used to be able to get relics that were, like I actually have a Padre Pio rosary that has a piece of his a little piece of cloth with his blood on from his hand. You can't even get that anymore. My godmother, who was a nun, got me that and gave it to my mother for me when I was like 5 years old from Rome. So that's 70 years ago. So you can't get that anymore. But you can find relics in stores. They are around. As a matter of fact, I have to ask Ted about that. We used to have over 200 relics of different metals. I have to see if we have them. I don't. I'll check it out. I don't know.
Finish unpacking and settling the house.
I don't even know where my yellow legal pads are still, let alone where relics of holy cards are. I don't know.
Freddie asks, can ghosts interact with the physical world, like blowing out candles and knocking over? Yes. They can unscrew dog cages and throw those screws in the front yard.
Yes,
they can.
Yes.
They can steal your St. Joseph statue out of the yard and put a gnome in its place.
Yes, they can.
They can do a lot.
The only thing they can't do is touch your charm or the quince seeds. They cannot move those. They cannot take your charm and hide it. They cannot do that. But yeah, they can, and especially the week working up to a full moon, which is this week. So no.
Hey,
yeah,
Aries,
the full moon is the 5th. Yeah, no, it's this week. So absolutely.
Now, would any of the charms need to be blessed, Marianne? Like 2 or 3 people have asked if the charms need to be blessed.
If they come from Marianne, they're good.
Mm-hmm.
Right. If they're my charms, they're perfectly ready to get in the mail and put on. They're wearable right from the beginning. You can wear them, you can swim, you can go in the hot tub, you can take a shower with them on. The only thing you cannot do with them is stick them in liquid jewelry cleaner. You have to clean them with the cloth because the jewelry will soften the resin that's holding the seed in place.
And as far as I think the metals, those you can buy them anywhere. Those don't need to be blessed as far as the St. Christopher.
No, exactly. The only thing that has to be blessed, and I think I mentioned it Was it you with you, Sandy, last week that about rosaries?
Right. Rosaries, if you're not, you told us if you didn't have it blessed, if it was gifted or found or bought at secondhand, if you don't bless it and you're saying your prayers are going to the person who originally owned it, as
Correct.
opposed to you
So
now.
if you want the prayers for yourself, take them to your priest and have the priest bless it for you so that it is yours now instead of who owned it before you. That's the only thing that needs to be redone is old rosaries.
Deborah says hi and good morning from the school. She's a school bus driver in New York, so drive safely. I'm sure you have some horrible weather going on there right now. I have to leave for midday bus run soon, but I was wondering, do you believe in reincarnation?
Yes, I do. Even though I'm Catholic, I'm not supposed to, but I do believe in it. And I think if everybody that has questions about this life, sometimes by being regressed, you can find an answer for something you're looking for now in a regression. But the trick to that is finding somebody that's really, really good at doing it. I mean, really, really good.
I don't know if I've asked you this. I've wondered what happens if you put the white light directly on the earthbound? Does it suck them in?
No, it doesn't do anything. It's like, it would be like a flashlight going over them. It really doesn't do anything. The whole thing is, it is what they want to do. They're the ones that have to be motivated to walk into the light. It has to be their choice.
Let's see. Heather says, I arrange my dream bag so it's directly below my head while I sleep. I'm remembering my dreams almost every single night now.
That's great.
Yeah, that's really good.
I would never be restful. The nights that I dream, I feel like I never get good sleep if I remember them. It's just me.
And Deborah says, thank you for talking about the white light on Ghost Whisperer, because I always wondered, Hollywood, like what?
You're right.
I will.
And the crazy part is the guy, John Gray, that was the producer, the mind behind it, he brought me to Nyack, New York to clear his house, and he watched me make the white light to let the ghosts go that were in his house. But when that first show came out, there was no white light. I was mortified. It's like, well, how does she get rid of them? What does she do? Just blink and they're gone? She's not Jeannie from I Dream of Jeannie. She has to make the light and let them walk into it. And it's like, no, this is the way it's going to go. It's like, yeah, right. Okay.
It's been so long since I've watched it in the episode. Like, I don't even remember what happens, honestly. Like, about the only thing I remember from that show is one of the actresses, and I think she came on a few seasons in. She used to be on The Practice, and I liked her character on The Practice. So when that show ended, she came over.
Oh, Cameron.
Yeah, she had like all the
lawyer
and everything.
No, she was on she wasn't in a hospital. She was on a lawyer show.
Yeah, The Practice. Yeah, it was called.
Oh, is that what that was called? Okay, yeah. She was on there.
Yeah, I'm like, oh, that's where she went. So I watched a couple, and then I just.
And now she's on one of the FBI shows or something, or the new Law and Order show. She's in charge of the department. Yeah, so she's still doing her thing.
See, I don't have regular TV, and I've gotten to the point now where I get home, and if I do turn on the TV, it's background noise while I do other things. So
same here. Cameron Manahan.
Yeah, I liked her. Karen asks, do family members that are earthbound realize that they are draining the family member if they're around them?
If they're smart, it doesn't take them long to figure it out. Because if they walk into a house and the wife is there with a couple kids, he got killed in a car accident. As soon as he is in there, she starts going, oh, my headache is coming back, and the kids start fighting. And then before you know it, the kids are sick. And so, yeah. And again, he didn't like the neighbors that well. So he'll go over there and get his energy from the neighbors and just watch from afar. So you never know if it's the old neighbor in your house or not. Did you like your neighbor?
Well, we're gonna do the Earthbound hit squad, and certain people might have accident. Some evil people. Mr. Miyagi, my keys went missing for 3 months. Then I saged my car, and the next morning they were right on the floor.
So
Yep,
I don't want to
and
talk
that's
about
the same
missing
thing
keys.
with, you can go with St. Anthony. Tony, look around. Something's lost and must be found. And it's amazing how you will find whatever you are missing.
Well, that'll go to our next question. If you aren't Catholic, will the medals work?
Yes, they will. It doesn't make any difference. I'm not a rock climber, but or people aren't rock climbers, but they carry rocks around because they like the way that makes them feel. So
I was going to say, are we going with carabiners? But they use carabiners.
No,
I like
no.
rocks better.
No, she went the rock route.
I like the rock route.
that's right.
Well, I think, Marianne, I even asked you that when I was having the trouble getting rid of that house, because I'm like technically confirmed Catholic, but I haven't practiced in years. And I'm like, how many St. Anthony's or St. Joseph's? I had an army of them little guys in my yard, and it wasn't working. And
That
I'm like,
house just didn't want you to go.
I'm like, he's like, whatever. Now you want to show up, sell the house yourself.
My dentist had a house on one of the islands, Catawba or one of those up there, and he was trying to sell it. And oh my gosh, that St. Joseph medal moved in his yard 5 different times. 5 different times. And they just did not want him to leave. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Didn't want him to leave.
Well, that's why when the question was, can ghosts move things? I'm like, yes, they can. Because the first St. Joseph that was in my front yard, there's conflicting things. He's upright, he's upside down, he's facing the house, he's facing away. Like, there's so many things that you'll find online. And then somebody was like, well, did you bless it with holy water? I'm like, no. I'm like, maybe that's the problem. I went to dig him up. He was completely missing. Now, mind you, I had gnomes all in the yard. I like grumpy little gnomes, not fairies. Well, all of a sudden, some of the gnomes started being broken. And in the place of the St. Joseph statue was a broken hand, an arm
From the gnome.
from a gnome where St. Joseph should have been. That house was fun.
You know what
not
I
really.
think, and I'm thinking, what probably did that at your house? I don't know why I didn't think about that till now. I bet it was little folk.
I like my grumpy gnomes. Them fairies can just,
Shoo.
I'm trying to use polite language.
That's why I was laughing about the keys. 9 months. 9 months. My keys were gone.
Yours were gone.
And I was seated. I mean, the house was up. I'm up. So I knew it wasn't earthbounds. Before any of that, yes, my earthbounds that were in my house would move stuff all the time. But they were gone. Who else could it have been? The fairies. Little jerks sometimes.
So back
All
to
the time.
back to putting the white light on things. Brooke says, except for when Marianne dropped the snake through the light on the floor and sips tea forever.
Only time I ever did that. You're dropping your rocks there.
Yeah, well, the
It's just
ginormous,
ginormous charger.
yeah, the big brick for the laptop got knocked out of the wall, but we should
Yeah.
be good for the entire time.
Sorry about the loud startling noise.
Yeah, we're awake now. Princess Sprite says, my husband was up late alone one night reading on the couch when he swears he heard his own voice next to his face say, Mom, was it a ghost? And why would it use his own voice? Was such an odd question.
To make them think. And they can change. I mean, it's so common for an adult earthbound spirit to sound like a baby crying where a parent thinks their child is crying in the middle of the night. They can do that. And you know what? Was it a soft voice, not a loud voice? It depends too. But just somebody's trying to get his attention, that's for sure.
It's funny because a lot of Amelia Earhart stuff's coming up. Any thoughts on Amelia Earhart? I'm of the belief that she lived and the government gave her a new life. Can't remember her name, but I know you know about some celebrities.
Her, I don't know anything about. I remember watching a special, and they thought they found the plane on some island someplace in the South Pacific, maybe. And the information they came up with sounded reasonable, but I thought they thought she was a spy. I didn't think that, I don't remember for sure. Brooke probably knows this because she's really good on all that stuff. But I don't really remember. I mean, I've never run across her at all.
Well, Brooke is asking if if the hand had the middle finger or a pinky up. No, it was kind of like a close-handed fist, but I took the understanding that it would have been a middle finger when I found it. Just because of the relationship we were having, the house and I. Actually, the house itself wasn't the problem. It was the land around the house, really. Me and that Pachamama spirit had to come to some understandings. Deborah says, I still watch and love The Ghost Whisperer. It's on Hulu. So if anybody's looking for it and you have Hulu, there you go.
It's everywhere. It's still on. In the middle of the night, you can find it anywhere.
Right. Westy says, inquiring minds are curious if you practice feng shui. Feng shui.
I know a little bit about it, but not enough to make a difference. No, not really.
Rhonda asks, can you send an earthbound on its way if you chill meditating more often? I guess maybe trying to get into that space. Like, can other people learn to do the white light through meditation and learning to focus?
See, I think when you meditate, you're doing it for yourself, and whoever visits you when you meditate is special. But I don't think that you can send a ghost into when you meditate, the light is for yourself. So I don't think so.
Oh, Princess Bright says, yeah, it was a soft voice that said, Mom.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Hey, Dora, thank you for joining. Let's see. And Pam says she's heard her own voice whispered in her ear.
Excuse me.
Yeah.
I have to laugh whenever my husband, he's like, are our seats still up? Are they still working? I'm like, why? He said, because I think somebody just whispered in my ear. And he was laying on the couch and I was across the room from him sitting on the thing. I'm like, honey, I think you're just dozing off and like you're dreaming it, going into that dream stage. I'll look, I'm like, nope, we're all good. Seeds are up. We're fine. Unless it's the Fae folk.
No. Don't forget. Spirits that crossed over, the seeds don't stop, but they're not a problem. And sometimes they like to let themselves be known too. So, think about it. If you hear a voice like that and your house is protected, is it an anniversary of somebody's death, somebody's birthday? Your birthday is a relative visiting. There's we just got through all the holidays.
It might have been.
That's
Rich's
right.
brother's birthday. Yeah.
So there you go. It could have been one of them.
Mm-hmm.
So Rebecca asks, how do you go about getting in touch with Marianne to discuss things going on in my home? And I swear, this is not a planned segue, but thank you for asking, because that makes my next job so much easier. One of the things that we do are the Zooms. And if you have questions about what could be going on in your house, do you have a portal? Do you have earthbounds? You join us on Zoom. It is $20 to join, but it is limited. Only 20 people can be on there. And everybody will get to ask 2 questions. It can be anything from, do you have ghosts? Do you have a curse? Do you have a portal? But everybody gets to ask, and we go until everybody asks their questions. We don't just go, oh, it's 9:30, we're done. Like, everybody gets their turn. Keeping that in mind, we ask everybody to be mindful of everybody else that is still waiting to ask their question. I know it sounds harsh, but we don't need to hear about what happened when you were 10, because it does not matter what's going on now in your house.
Right.
It's not going to have an importance, and Marianne can't tell you what happened back then. Marianne is not a psychic medium, so she cannot answer those type of questions. The next one is like all the way out in March because all of February is already booked. So this link, for as long as we're doing Zooms, will always get you to the next available spot for you to book. Please do not call or email Marianne and I saying that it's broken because you can't get into February. It's not broken, it's full. But that's how you can find out what's going on in the house. But the next biggest rule, two biggest rules, you have to be in the building that your questions are about. Please do not be on break at work wanting to know about your house. Don't be at your mom's house wanting to know about your sister's house. Doesn't work that way. And it starts at 7:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We love friends joining us from all over the place, but please be mindful of the time difference so you can join us on time. I think those are all the rules.
Right.
I-
And let me make a suggestion here. I am so far behind again, ever, always, I swear. And the easiest way for people that are out of the state of Ohio, the easiest way for me to give you answers to what's going on is to come on a Zoom. If I've got 10 minutes to call somebody, I'm going to call somebody in Ohio, then out of state because I can get to them in Ohio. So definitely, I'm not ignoring you. I just am one person.
Oh, and no kids. I think that was the only rule we didn't
yeah.
talk about was
No
no
one under
no one
18.
under 18.
Yeah.
Let's see. Everybody says bless you and long live and prosper.
Thank you. Thank you. I had to dip away to sneeze.
Let's see. A few more questions. What time are we at? Okay, we still got a few minutes. Do you think Cindy Williams and Penny Marshall are hanging out together?
I certainly hope so.
Yeah.
Cindy Williams and I we're actually friends. She was at my house more than once. When we were in California, we were at her house. She took us out to eat a couple of times. She's really so funny. And my girls absolutely drove me nuts with Laverne and Shirley. They knew every dialogue from every show and they would do it. They would make me crazy. And so when I met Cindy for the first time, it was at her house in California. And I told her about the girls and how either one of them could stand in a studio and do the other person's lines. That's how well they knew Laverne and Shirley. And she says, really? And I said, yeah. She goes, okay. What she did, she got hold of Laverne, Penny Marshall, who was at that time being almost a recluse. And she said, I need to go straighten her out anyway. So she went to Penny's house and got in. All that was living with Penny was her houseman. Let's let it go with that. And so you should see all the stuff that she took to Penny and got Penny to sign. And she put it all in the box and mailed it to me for the girls. She was so nice. She was so nice. And she was in Cleveland. Something at the IX Center. They had, I don't know if it was a Comic-Con. I don't know what it was, but it was a Happy Days group. It was her and I don't know. What was the big Ragusa's name? I don't know. Carmine, he was here.
Yes.
The little girl that died, his sister, his little Erin. She's dead now too. She died, but she was here with her husband. And so Cindy calls me up because Ted was going to the IX Center to pick him up and then bring him to the restaurant that we were meeting them for a late dinner. And Cindy calls me up from the IX Center. She says, what size bed do you have? I said, the mattress size? She said, yeah. I said, queen, why? She goes, what's your favorite color? I went, what? Why? She goes, well, do you like blue? Do you like green? Do you like yellow? I went, Yeah, any of them. Because Ted picked her up, she bought us a beautiful set of sheets for our bed. And it was like, she was just a very nice person. I wish Emily, I wish her daughter had called and told me she was sick, because I would have liked to have talked to her for the last time. But she didn't. So, I haven't seen her, so I'm guessing that, yeah, I'm sure her and Laverne and her and Penny Marshall are just hanging out now.
It's really sweet.
That is.
Karen says, can you trick the earthbound humans like you did the snake? Possibly lure them into the light?
I have done it to a couple of people. Yes, I have. And as I've told it at events, one of them that I did trick going into the light was actually my mother-in-law. That's why I'll be doing this again someday.
It'll be funny. Next time around, she'll be the one that can do what you do.
Oh, yeah. She'll get even. No doubt about it.
Either that, or if she didn't believe you or gave you a hard time, like the roles will be reversed or something, like.
Well, after she was dead, she believed me. Because the first
they all do afterwards.
Yeah, well, I said to her, I told you I'd be the last person you ever talked to.
You were right, right?
Let's see. Thanks, Sydney. Hopefully everything's going good over on your side of the big ocean. Melanie says, how do I get earthbounds to leave my kitties alone and stop spooking them?
Are you sure they're ghosts that are doing it? That sounds like something that little folk would do more than a ghost. A ghost that don't like animals are going to mess with more adult animals than puppies or kittens.
Let's see. Kate says our house is protected. When our neighbor comes over, there's a gray cloud with her and possibly residue of an attachment. Is that possible?
Yes, it is. And that's how I can tell sometimes when people meet me at an event if they've got energy on them from an earthbound spirit. So yeah, now she can't leave anything at your house saying your house is protected, but you're right. You're probably picking up on something in her house.
Mr.
See, let me finish this for a minute. It's a learned thing. If I've cleared your house, you knew what your house felt like when you had a ghost or two. After your house was cleared, now you knew what the house felt like with no ghost or two. So now you're at your friend's house, and all of a sudden you get that creepy feeling, like the hair on the back of your neck goes up, and it's like, whoa, this is the way my house used to feel when there was a ghost in it. So you can't see it, you can't hear them, but you know they're there. And it's a learned experience. Yeah,
unless you're a true crime fan and then you're looking for hidden cameras in the Airbnb.
We're still like, what is that over there?
The Florida Airbnb, where that watch feeling, I took it as like, there's cameras in here somewhere.
You did.
Here's not so bad.
Attachments don't stay too far away from you. They are, at least if they're not right next to you, they are in the same room that you are in.
Now, there was also a question about sleeping. Like, do they just sit there and watch you sleep?
Or sometimes they pull the blankets or play with your hair or rub your cheek or tickle your toes. Yeah, anything they want.
Wake up with
I had
scratches
one
and
of those.
bruises.
I had one of those attachments.
Let's.
Oh, I have to tell you, this was funny. You guys know that my girls were in town a couple weeks ago. Well, Tara's here, but Amber was in from out of town. And Amber stayed with Tara because she couldn't possibly stay here. Too many boxes. And it was the middle of the night, and Tara and my son-in-law were sleeping, and my son-in-law pokes my daughter, Tara, and he says, Amber's in the room. And Tara sat up and she looked. Now, Amber has really big hair. I mean, really big hair. And she had her sweats on that she was sleeping in, and she was at the foot of their bed. And Steve, my son-in-law's foot was out, and she was down there petting his foot.
Why?
Was she sleepwalking or was she doing this on purpose?
That's exactly what she was doing.
Sleepwalking?
And Tara said to Amber, "What are you doing?" She goes, "Oh, just came to say hi." And she's just petting her. Turns around, walks back into her bedroom, and goes back to bed. Oh my God. And I did. Amber was a sleepwalker when she was a little girl. She would get up in the middle of the night, shower, eat breakfast, get dressed for school, and then go back upstairs on her bed and fall asleep. She'd come downstairs, there her bowl would be. She had already eaten. She didn't even know she did it. We had to put locks on the doors way high up because she would go outside in the middle of the night. We didn't know where she was.
Scary. Yeah, that's
And
scary.
we thought, because we really thought she was in the Coast Guard, and we really thought that there was going to be a problem if she ever ended up on a ship. Well, she was on a ship 3 different times, but it worked out okay. But that would have been a reason.
Yeah, I was going to ask how that went with the military. Like, did she disclose that? Would that automatically like preempt you out? Like, we can't deal with that kind of.
Well, seeing that she's been retired for over 3 years ago, they can't kick her out. I don't know if she ever told them or not. So the other thing that almost kicked her out is that I'm sure everybody gives their kids their measles and all their shots and everything. My girls never had anything. They never had chickenpox. They never had measles. They never had anything. That was almost a reason for her not to go to the Coast Guard too, because if she was on a ship and got something like that, she could infect the whole ship. So.
Oh, Brooke says her Amber is a sleepwalker too.
Oh, maybe it's the name. Oh my, isn't that something? I didn't know you had a kid named Amber.
That's interesting. Let's see. City, we've never had this type of question, says, might be an odd question, but just curious. Can people get nightmares just by sleeping with head pointed north and feet pointed south?
I have no idea. And who stays in one direction on their bed at night? I mean, I don't know.
I mean, I don't flip flop foot to headboard, but
no, but depending on how I'm sleeping, I may end up like parallel to my pillows.
Right, exactly. Nobody stays.
I don't know.
What are you doing?
I don't know. Sleeping.
Well, I'm
like getting closer and comfier with my pillows. Right? I don't know.
I know most times when I can sleep, I don't move a lot. Like in my queen bed, like that one half would still be made and not moved. It's the side that I'm on. Now, if the bed looks disheveled, I'll tell you, I'm like, I had a bad night. Like, couldn't get comfortable, couldn't fall asleep, couldn't and I moved a lot. But otherwise, that whole half of the bed doesn't get rumpled.
Yeah, when Ted and I are in the same bed sleeping at night, everybody pretty much stays on their own side for some reason. And I think you know it in the back of your head while you're sleeping. But like if I go by myself someplace and I'm in a hotel and I got that bed to myself, I am all over that bed. I am all over the place because I can. So I think it's whatever you could do.
Yeah, I'm not sure about the north-south, like what position they say you're supposed to get better sleep in. I don't know.
That might be a feng shui thing. And it could also just, depending on the culture. Now I know, and it's funny because Aries says he ends up sleeping with the back against the wall. And I remember as a kid in one of the military houses, like my bed was against the wall and I would lean against the wall and it felt secure, right? Because nothing could get you. The monster couldn't get me from behind because the wall was right here. And for the longest time, like hands and feet did not hang off the bed. Like once my dad took me I think I was like 6 or 7 when he took me to watch Gremlins. And from that point on, I'm like, oh my God. Now as an adult, I'm like, I dare you pull on my hand.
See, I would put my back up against the wall in the summer because the wall was cool. Yeah.
Yeah. But Rhonda says it's, I guess, a feng shui thing too.
So what's the right way to sleep then?
And Brooke says she adjusts a lot while sleeping. Now I have a body pillow that I usually have for like between the legs to help with the lower back, and I have a bigger one that a lot of times I'll kind of rest, but I don't move a lot. And I'm one of those that when I do wake up and I'm rolling over, I actually push up off the bed and then lay right back down where I was. I don't roll to the other side or roll over onto the next person.
My husband works nights, so I have the bed to myself most nights. So I'm all over. Rich will say, "Oh, the bed looks like somebody took a hand mixer to it." No, the covers are like just. I'm sorry, it's how I sleep.
Aries is like, yeah, that's my comfort zone for those reasons you say. So the monsters can't get you.
No
Right.
monster.
Now, Marianne, in clearing houses, and we all know that houses with kids that are having problems get bumped to the priority list. Have you come across ghosts that will do the mean things of like being under the bed, scaring kids, yanking on, just for what all those horror movies portray for kids in
That's
bedrooms?
right, because screaming and yelling, mom and dad come running in the room. And of course, they don't hear anything and they don't see anything, but the kids know. The ghost got a bad habit of walking up to a crib or a little, bed that they're sleeping in and walk over and bump it. So the whole bed shakes or the crib shakes and it jars the child. And the child opens their eyes and that's where they see rah, right at them.
Right.
That's when they scream, mom or dad, or they watch it walk into the closet and close the door behind him. And then they hear the hangers. The ghosts just,
Sure.
that's why kids go to the top of the list. I'm sorry. You don't do that to kids.
And how many times does mom and dad and you're like, this again, like, look, there's nothing under the bed. There's nothing in the closet.
Exactly right.
The one particular house that we were living in when we, dad and I went to go see Gremlins, like that house was creepy anyway. And I'm wondering like, what was I kind of picking up without realizing it? But for the longest time, and I'm still kind of like that, closet doors were shut, dresser doors were shut, like none of this half open things where things can come out. Like I'll hear that door open. I'll hear that dresser door slide open. But when I'm going, it's all closed. And I'm still like, I noticed last night you slept with your bedroom door open. Everything's closed.
See, yeah, I just don't, it's such a tomb in there if I don't. And while I don't mind sleeping in the dark, I'm not afraid of the dark. But my problem is then when I wake up, I'm like, it could be 9 in the morning. I don't know because it's so dark. I need some natural light to.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a new place. I'd probably trip over the furniture if I tried to get up in the middle of the night to go to the bathroom or something. And you'd never hear me. I'd be dead down the hallway since we're on opposite sides of the house.
That's the thing here. Most of the houses, like none of them have carpet down here because it's so sandy. And so everything echoes. There is no being quiet in a house around here. So I'm still on Ohio time. I normally wake up around 6, 7, which is 4 a.m. here. So, and she was like, don't you dare wake me up at 4 a.m. And I'm like, good luck with Ohio time still being a thing. So I'm trying to make coffee and I'm like, she's like 15 feet. And I'm like, there is no quiet Keurig, and I'm like, sorry.
Yeah, even putting the thing down and popping it makes noise through the whole house. Yeah.
Well, and this is one of those real thin, like streamline ones that make 1 cup. And if you have it, how they're warming up and it's like, rah, 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 and
yes, it makes all the gurgling, growling, snarling. I didn't hear that. Honestly,
Really?
I think I heard when you were maybe redoing the podcast. I think that's what woke me up, was hearing the voices.
Oh, me trying to like, where is it? Oh, okay, let's go take all that out.
And with me, there was 2 bedrooms I could pick from, but I had to pick the one that had the working ceiling fan because I can't sleep without a fan every day of my life.
But we did ask Marianne, nothing at this Airbnb, because the last time we traveled, that one in Florida, which is where I took that watch feeling as a creepy host, like cameras watching.
Who's looking? You're looking around for the hidden camera.
That first night, like I was here a week by myself before Sandy got in. And that first night, like just laying there, could have sworn I heard a sigh. And I was like, damn it. another Airbnb. And so Sandy the next morning, doing welfare check. How are you? What happened? How was your night? And I'm like, gonna have to ask Marianne. She's like, oh, great. And here I come. I'm like, I can ask Marianne before you get here. I never did. But Marianne, you said it's pretty clear here, and that
No,
maybe
it's
that
clear.
first
Yeah.
I had the seat on, it wandered off.
Yeah. When they find out they can't get close enough to you, why would they stay if they can't get any energy? So it's just a
No.
deterrent for them not to stay. This is a B&B. I'm sure there's other rooms in the unit, in the place, that they could go and bug somebody.
Yeah. Well, and we're in a
Like a small neighborhood.
yeah, so there's plenty for them to go. Now, that being said, I know right across from us is an elderly, pleasant couple, retired vet. And you know how I am with my military people. Don't you go mess with that vet. You go with whoever you want, but not
Not
that veteran across the street.
Mm-hmm.
But that seems to be the downside in a way of traveling in Airbnbs. Like, what are you staying in? And
Well,
I don't know, Mary, would you consider Airbnb safer than a hotel when it comes to Ghostwise?
No, as a matter of fact, the ones that are in B&Bs are almost more homey and friendly, because it's more of a family setting than a hotel or an inn or a motel, right? So,
well, they are more than welcome to help price some of these rocks.
Mm-hmm. It's everywhere. You guys can't see, but there's stuff everywhere. We're not done.
Yeah, there's still a lot that you gotta do.
But you guys got to head off now to wherever you're going?
Well,
pretty soon, yeah.
Yeah. So we're 2 hours behind. So the shows start around 9 and 10. Like, it's just now 9 o'clock here. So the upside of being on Ohio time, being up at 4 a.m, I have no problem leaving and getting early to the shows when they're opening to get decent parking. Because some of these, and Sandy has yet to see it, but I showed her one of these overview maps. Like, you are parking halfway across Tucson.
Like an acre away. I mean, it's ridiculous.
And then, so whatever you're buying, you're having to carry. And depending on the show, they might let you drive your car up at the end to load. So I forget, what was it, Monday you were calling me, and every time she called me, I was making
she was
a trek,
like hoofing 50 pounds of rocks to
like
her car.
30 pounds in my book bag, 2 boxes in my hands, hoofing it, and finally I answered, and I'm like, what? I'm like, if I stop walking, there was no restarting. Like, this is my 4th trip to the car. So yeah, Scott was with me to Colorado, and he was like, I was your pack mule, and he was. And I was like, you sure you don't want to go with me this time, babe? He's like, no, I'm good. So
smart man, once enough.
Right. So there is 2 shows that I have to go pick up my orders from. They're like, can you come back? That's a big one. And I'm like, okay. And there's been one show that I haven't even been able to get to. I've tried 3 days straight, and it's a bigger venue, but the parking sucks. So there are people lined up 3 blocks in all directions and just walking to the show. And I'm like, I'm not doing that. And Sandy's like, I'll bring my priority parking pass, which is her handicap placard. Because I'm like, yeah, the 8 handicap spots in the front of the building are empty, but I can't park there. And she's like, you will when I get there. So
she purposely put off that show until
that's why I brought you.
I'm just here for the priority parking.
Well, then, like, last night we were going to eat, and I'm looking for parking. She's like, pull into priority. And I'm like, oh, I forgot about that. But yeah, the kitchen table over here is just full.
Yeah, it's hard to
you
see.
know what? It's got the blur background filter on, so it's not showing. But the table is full for Thursday night.
And it's a table that would sit 2, 4, 6, 8. You could put probably 10 people at this table, and you can't right now, or sit on the benches.
Yeah.
Or the chairs.
So, tomorrow evening will be the live on the store channels, just showing the new stuff. And you're right, Rhonda, like, you do have to be in good shape to be at this show. So when people are like, enjoy your vacation, I'm like, honey, it's not. I usually lose weight from all of the walking and the carrying and eating on the run, if I do do eat. Snacks in the book bag, double waters when I make a trip to the car, empty off a empty water bottle, grab another one, go back in. So, but there'll be a lot of cool, pretty things. And I wonder how many ghosts are hanging around in the gem shows. So, and I should have thought to plan this with you, which I got another 8 days. Maybe Marianne will have to do some type of live, and it would have to be on Twitch, I think, to be like, okay, Marianne, but it's so crowded with living, it might be hard.
See, there's no chance of you getting there or before it opens or staying after it closes. And that's when it would be the truest. But between people buying and people selling and people just coming through being nosy, it would be a zoo. There's be no way you could sort it out who belonged to what.
There are some that you can kind of sneak in early, but I put the books away. I was going to show you a map, but they are so full of vendors.
They're not behind me.
That if those vendors are already there, like uncovering tables, like that's still a few hundred people.
Yeah, see, that's too many. Yeah.
Yeah. So it would be hard to prove that. So if you guys like rocks, catch us on our, it's going to be safest to say Twitch, YouTube, and Facebook, because I'm short one of my devices that I can't load all of them up. So those I know I can do from the computer, no problem. Don't be fooled by the rocks that she got. She still listens to the show. Yeah.
Oh boy.
But to recap, because I think Marianne, we're a little over 11, so hopefully you didn't have appointments that you're like, oh my God, we got to go. The link on the website is how you would want to join us for Zoom to find out if you have anything going on in any particular building, but you need to be in that building. And it is limited, and we are looking into March that has the next available spot.
10 is the Friday and the 20th is the Monday.
Yep. And they start at 7:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So make sure you're adjusting for that time change. We don't have any in-person sessions lined out because, Marianne, you're still settling from your move, and Ohio weather. So it'll probably be springtime before I try to drag Marianne on the road, just because weather.
Yeah, we'll try for something at the store, probably maybe a week or two before Easter. And I don't even know when Easter is this year. Lent's early, so Easter must be early. I don't know when.
No, I know it's a Sunday. I got that. That part's the only thing I know.
Well, it's always a Sunday, Sandy.
I know.
Which one? Sometime in March into April.
It just moves.
Yeah.
A lot.
Well, maybe it's on my calendar. Let me see. Lent starts this month on the 22nd. And Easter is, the 9th of April.
Yeah, Mike just popped it up. Yeah.
Everybody now is like the 9th.
Yeah,
I love our research.
Yes.
Yeah, guys, please ask your questions. Think about it. Bring it to us next week. We love having the questions. It helps make the conversation go. And you don't hear me rambling as much, trying to fill in, waiting for questions to show up.
Yeah, we had a lot of great questions last week too. So,
and you know what? So here's a fun thing, and a fun thing to point out. These lives actually aren't the actual podcast. If you look up When Ghosts Speak, it's available on everything except iTunes. Those are whole separate episodes that are different from these lives. Mm-hmm. So when Marianne and I, when it's just us and we're not streaming a bunch of questions, we'll record the podcast from there because it saves the audio for me. So the Wednesday morning lives, so in a way you get extra content this way. Mm-hmm. So feel free to bring in questions, because sometimes the questions will inspire a podcast episode, like when our buddy over in England asked if you've ever ran into a ghost more than once. And I've never heard back from Lewis to see if he ever listened to it, because he popped in for that hot minute and then he was gone. I'm sure he's busy with school, but he never let me know if he got to listen to that episode. So hopefully Lewis will let us know at some point. But yeah, ask questions on the lives, do us a favor, listen to the podcast, tell friends and family. We get requests all the time to travel around when weather's good. to do in-person events, especially at some of the haunted locations that has been suggested to us, but we need the bodies to join us and make it worth having fun everywhere, because those locations do cost money, and we have to put the money up front.
And sadly, none of us are independently wealthy. I didn't
Not
wake up
yet.
again another day without waking up independently wealthy.
I mean, Marianne, how do we get these law of abundance checks to make the lottery winning happen? So we don't
People
to-
have won with the law of abundance. I know they have, but you know, I almost think with the law of abundance, at least you're getting something. You know, something is coming back to you. I mean, everybody wants the big one, but maybe not in this life.
Right. Oh, and no worries. I wasn't trying to, I just wanted you to know that there's extra content you can listen to. So you can call on podcast or live. I don't care. I'm glad that you're here hanging out with us. But, you know, like, hey, there's extra that you can listen to besides just this. Margie, she's like, you need a cart. And you know what? I did order myself one of those collapsible carts. The thing is, most of these shows are outside on sandy dirt and gravel. So by the time even if you have one of those carts with the wide wheels, by the time you put that weight in there, it just sinks. So you're carrying it and pulling a cart behind you at the same time.
My son and I were discussing that the night before I think I flew out. And he's like, well, Mom, how would you even lug that? I said, well, we just need to design special wheels that will handle that. I said, but by the time you add the weight, all you're going to be doing is dragging it across through. So
yeah. And yeah, the asphalt, especially in summertime, like it gets hot enough that things start melting. People's shoes will melt walking on the asphalt out here in summer.
Yeah, fortunately, Sunday's our pick day. It's going to be 79 here. So
yeah. But yeah, if anybody's interested in the stone, Marianne, do you need me to find you a bunch of moonstone for your house clearing?
Yeah, if you can find me about a pound.
Sure can. This is the place.
Yeah, that's good. Yeah, because that's the one thing I never. Yeah, that's good.
Will do.
Well, yeah, at least have them in the store so I can tell people where they should come and get them. They don't have to be stones. They just have to be able to get them.
Yeah, I always have it in the store. I wasn't sure if you needed extra for you.
Because I'll put some in my case in case somebody wants to do something more. Because when I do a house, I do the house. Any outbuildings if necessary, but I don't do the yard and all that. You can't catch them. But the moonstones can help. So if I have them, I'll give them to people. So.
Oh, City's coming to visit the U.S. and Florida towards the end of the year. Oh, you should look up Brooke. That would be fun if her and Brooke got to hang out. But when it would love to attend one of our events down there. So,
we're not there.
We're not quite there yet, but it's the beginning of the year. So that's why we need friends, families to share podcasts and let them know we exist. Yeah, please help us. But that being said, thank you everybody for joining us, and take a listen to the podcast that went out today. It's about shopping in stores and why maybe they're a little more messy than what you think. And it's been re-edited and uploaded. So if you listen to the original that had the corrupted sound that happened somehow, some way, it's fixed and put back up through the first cup of coffee.
It's empty.
Marianne, you got I think you're good. We're low key right now.
Good. Yep, I'm good for right now. Just as soon as I get the phone working, it'll be really good.
So yes, please remember to like, share, subscribe, all the things, all the platforms, help us out. But thank you everybody for joining, and we'll see you next Wednesday morning, 10 a.m. Bye guys.
Bye-bye, everybody. Have a good week.